All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about harmless things and doing it in an even more harmless way than I used to. Yeah, maybe not. But here I am talking about things in real time for a few real people out here, just like you and just like me. So, before I talk about Jimmy Page, I guess Jimmy was not happy when this Led Zeppelin documentary was first proposed, and he had some choice words for somebody over at Warner Brothers. Before I get to that, though, I got two friends here to talk about. First, the guy who sent this to me, Dave from the UK. Thank you so much, Dave, or David. I'll just call him David. He's harmless Dave of the UK, and he sent me this, and the other guy on the cover, Eric Clapton, he's also a friend, and he performs on this. So you might want to check it out. The album's called Meanwhile, and courtesy of my friends over at Surf Dog Records. Just great people. They tried to free up my other channel unsuccessfully. So if you're wondering where I've been frozen in time over there. This is the new and improved me, even more harmless than before. It's hard to imagine how someone could get even more harmless, but yet here I am. So Jimmy Page, let's talk about Jimmy Page. So Jimmy is 81 years old. I figured he was old. I wasn't sure how old. So the headline from the Metro, which is a publication in the UK, says Jimmy Page felt insulted when a Led Zeppelin film was first pitched to him by what he called an idiot. You know, when you're Jimmy Page, first of all, you got neighbors who are very disruptive. That's been an ongoing thing in Jimmy's life. You've got Robert Plant, who apparently doesn't want to really have anything to do with Led Zeppelin. And, these guys, they could have kept this thing alive, at least, I don't know, in the sense that the occasional reunion. You've got Jason Bonham, who's got lots of free time now since Sammy Hagar dismissed him. Although Jason Bonham does do this Led Zeppelin experience thing, which is really good. You should check it out. If you miss Led Zeppelin, I would definitely check out Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin experience. But with that said, Jimmy Page has nothing really to prove at this stage. Yeah, it would have been cool if Zeppelin had gotten back together again a little bit more than they did. Where's John Paul Jones these days? You don't hear too much from him. Robert Plant, of course, has a solo career, and he's doing okay. So long as he's got Alison Krauss, he's doing all right, because Allison is like his better half in the literal sense. So they write this article. The band Led Zeppelin, iconic for singing songs like Stairway to Heaven and Whole Lotta Love. You know why they have to tell their audience that? Because people are starting to forget. They don't know. What's Led Zeppelin? Sounds kind of cool. What is that? It's a band you may have heard of. My favorite Zepp tune is probably going to be Going to California, if I had to pick one. Although I do like Fool in the Rain quite a bit too. There are several. And I used to play a ton of Zeppelin stuff that is no longer played on the radio. And it's a shame, right? But again, as time keeps on slipping into the future here, you're going to hear less and less from these classic rock bands, and even Led Zeppelin getting put on the shelf. So anyway, this story has to do with Jimmy Page and their floating ideas for how the Led Zeppelin documentary is supposed to start. And somebody at Warner Brothers, the guy who Jimmy Page calls an idiot, floats this idea. And he says, it starts off at the Continental Hyatt Hotel. Must be a place that maybe Zeppelin used to stay at, right? And it's in the lobby. And there's lots of groupies. And then you come down in the lift. or the elevator or whatever you want to call it. And then Page jumps in and says, "Is this Motley Crue? Is this Quiet Riot? What group do you think we are?" So, look, let's do some unrevision here. Okay, I don't know if that's a word, but if he's trying to say that Led Zeppelin didn't have groupies, they made groupies famous. And groupies wrote books because they were hanging out with Led Zeppelin. Now, he wants to focus on the music. I get that. But in today's world, where you have to get someone's attention, especially people that didn't grow up listening to the music of Led Zeppelin, they may not understand the concept of groupies. So you introduce the groupies, and again, like the Motley Crue film, which was embarrassing, called The Dirt, right? I don't know about Quiet Riot. Did they have a film? Probably not. I don't think there was there probably was a Quiet Riot documentary. I know it was like behind the music and all that stuff. So Page is a little upset because the guy at Warner Brothers wanted to focus on the groupies. And this is what he had to say. It was really insulting because I'm about what the music is about. So that may be true, but the groupies were also true. And it's interesting, as you get older, see, this is a natural aging reaction. Like, you don't want to talk about that stuff anymore. That stuff is embarrassing. It wasn't embarrassing at the time, though. It was super duper cool. Well, at the time. But as you get older, things change, and you'd rather talk about the music, which makes sense. I remember speaking to one guy talking about all the stuff in their past, and they said, yeah, whatever, but let's talk about the music. And maybe some of these guys grew up. If you're currently in Motley Crue, I don't think anything's really changed based on the recent behavior at some of their concerts. I think they're hoping that the groupies from 30 years ago show up, or new, younger groupies would probably be more desirable for these old, creepy guys who really, at some point, need to stop playing music. But there's too much money to be made. By the way, in case you were wondering, Becoming Led Zeppelin, I believe, is currently in the theaters. You can go watch the full-length trailer. The film, by the way, stops at the making of Led Zeppelin 2. So we could see another movie or another part to this documentary. Jimmy Page, when asked about the future of Led Zeppelin, could a reunion be in the works? This is what he had to say. "I think the future of Led Zeppelin is the past. Because the past, you can't argue with it. It's like ABBA. You can't argue with what they did. It's just so good. It was so cleverly put together. It's so crazy. Like bands like Metallica and Led Zeppelin and so many others have recognized ABBA as a really good band. And they were. They were an amazing band. But they were not cool at the time. But they became very cool when people stood back after the dust had settled, and then they looked and listened and they said, these guys were really good. They wrote really great songs, very catchy songs, as cheesy as anything could be. And sometimes cheese is good. But anyway, Page finishes his little quote here by saying, "It's the musicianship. It's a textbook for musicians." Talking about ABBA, I guess, or maybe Led Zeppelin. He says, "It is what it is. Pretty damn good." All right. But he really didn't answer the question about the reunion. Oh, here, no, wait a minute. Here he says, "I have no idea. I mean, maybe in about another 20 years, I could do it." So if Jimmy is still here at age 101 and Robert Plant is still out on tour with Alison Krauss, there could be a Zeppelin reunion. In the meantime, there is good music to listen to. The Meantime segue, just amazing. The album is called Meantime. This is Eric Clapton. And again, thanks to Eric and my friend Dave for sending a physical copy, which I like to use here because people like visuals. Like I got this album behind me right now, Tom and Jerry, not the cartoon guys, all right? Tom and Jerry playing the music of Ray Charles. What a hot piece of vinyl that is. And it's very out of print. I went looking for it, and people have uploaded it here and there. But man, it just cooks. If you want to hear some really great guitar work, go to a thrift store and maybe you'll hit pay dirt like I did. In the meantime, folks, thanks for watching. Don't forget, I need help here. Not only do I need psychological help, but I also need help trying to rebuild my little platform here. Patreon, YouTube memberships, buy me a coffee. I'm going through the coffee money very quickly, and super chats, which are now available. So I appreciate all of that and all of you. God bless you. God bless America. God bless the world. And let's make the world great again.